Hey, it's Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online, U.S. History from 1877 to present. And what we've been trying to do, of course, is give you some review ideas and some review strategies when it comes to U.S. history map assessment. Now, we talk about how important that map assessment is because if you think about it, U.S. history, is the last of the assessments that you're given, and it determines really whether or not, you're going to transition, of course, to becoming a senior. And you don't want to have that, holding over your head and not having been successful on that test and having all that stress when it comes to your senior year. So what we're going to try to do is offer you some strategies and some information about things that you could do, of course, to improve your chances of being successful on that test. What we're going to do is we're going to start with populism today, and populism is going to be our next lesson, and it should be lesson 4. This is U.S. history. Standard 3, progressive movement, evaluate causes, goals, and outcomes of the progressive movement. Now you say, well, progressive movement, but we're talking about populism. Well, you have to understand that a lot of the things that are in the progressive movement are going to bleed over, of course, into populism. And we're going to find that the populists are going to adopt some of the very same things that progressives, of course, wanted to adopt when it came to, change in America. All right, what we're going to do is look at some of the questions. And in looking at these questions, what we're going to do is, of course, try to look at them, give you some ideas about what some strategies, of course, how to eliminate things. But the one thing I want to go back to is telling you how important it is that you pay attention to those fact lists that we've given you. And if you master those facts and you're able to read and understand what it is that the questions are asking you, you can do quite well. So we'll start with Populism Assessment Standard 1. It says this chart includes several factors. Question mark, bimetallism, graduated income tax, direct election of U.S. senators, government ownership of railroads. Which title best completes the chart? Standard 1, Objective 4, goals of the Populist Party, conditions of the Dawes Act, failures of the Gilded Age politics, successes of the Roaring Twenties. Well, if you paid attention to your fact list, you'll know that graduated income tax, direct election of senators, the government ownership of railroads, all of those particular ideas had to deal with the Populist Party. So the best answer would be the goals of the Populist Party. All right. Populism Assessment Standard 1. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, American farmers faced new problems. Write the number representing the description in the correct column to indicate whether it was a problem for farmers or a solution proposed by farmers. 1, crop overproduction. 2, inflated freight rates. 3, high protective tariffs. 4, increased currency in circulation. 5, government regulation of the railroads. Well, so what we're going to do here is we're going to, take an answer and we're going to write it, of course, where it would possibly go. So crop overproduction, was it a problem or a solution? Well, if it's overproduction, I don't think it's a solution, so it's probably a problem. Inflated freight rates. Well, one of the problems that farmers had was the fact that they were charged unfair shipping rates. And we know that from, once again, our fact list and from our review. So that is a problem. High protective tariffs. Well, once again, the farmer thought that these high protective tariffs, of course, were a problem because in order to send his products overseas, the countries that would be receiving would have to pay this high tax. And that would limit them from wanting to send their, buy American products. So that would probably be a problem also. So 1, 2, and 3, we can easily identify as being problems. Increased currency in circulation. Well, one of the things that farmers wanted, they believed that the solution to their issue would be that if they could put more silver into circulation. So that would be a solution. And then government regulation of the railroads. Once again, that was one of the things in the Populist Party platform. That would be a solution. All right, Populism Assessment Standards 1 and 2. The following excerpt comes from the 1896 Democratic Party platform. We denounce the arbitrary interference by federal authorities in local affairs as a violation of the Constitution of the United States, and we especially object to the government by injunction as a new and highly dangerous form of oppression by which federal judges, in contempt of the laws and rights of citizens, become at once legislators, judges, and executioners. Which event is an example of government by injunction to which Democratic Party objective? A, interference in the Pullman strike. B, subsidies for the Transcontinental Railroad. C, spoiled system for rewarding lawyers with political jobs. de-restricting immigration from Cuba after the USS Maine. Well, it don't have anything to do with the Spanish-American War, don't have anything to do with the spoils system, so the only answer it could be is the interference in the Pullman strike or subsidies for the Transcontinental Railroad, which event is an example of government by injunction to which Democratic Party objected. We denounce the arbitrary interference by federal authorities in the local affairs as a violation of the Constitution of the United States. Subsidy for the Transcontinental Railroad, interference in the Pullman strike. Answer, interference in the Pullman strike. Got to understand. Now, what does that have to do with farming? Nothing. It has nothing to do with farming. But you have to also understand that the populist movement supported progressivism also. And Pullman strike here had to do with workers' rights. And so the the populists in this particular case supported the workers when it came to the Pullman strike. Populism Assessment Standard 1. The Populist Party platform in the 1890s included which of the following economic reforms? Standard 1.4. A call for nationalization of major industries and railroads. Support for the gold standard? Nope, didn't want gold now, they wanted silver. A demand for progressive income tax and an increase in tariffs. A proposal for government subsidies for large-scale factory owners and industrialists. The one thing is they call for a nationalization of major industries and the railroads, and that would be it. They wanted these big businesses, of course, to be railroads, especially the railroads to be nationalized or the government takes control of them. Populism Assessment Standard 1. Which of the following best describes the roles of the Ocala demands in the development of the populist movement? They outlined the Populist Party's stance on Native American land rights. They were a set of demands calling for reforms such as direct election of senators, the graduated income tax, and the government ownership of railroads. They included a proposal for the creation of labor unions to represent factory workers in urban areas. They focused on securing voting rights for African Americans in the South. The best answer for the Ocala demands was B, and that becomes the Populist Party platform. Populism Assessment Standard 1. In 1896 presidential election was a critical moment for populist movement. Which of the following best describes the outcome of this election for the Populist Party? The Populists successfully elected their candidate, William Jennings Bryan, to the presidency. Nope, didn't happen. The Populist Party aligned with the Democratic Party, but their candidate, William Jennings Bryan, lost to Republican William McKinley. The Populist Party won a significant number of seats in Congress, strengthening their influence. The Populist Party was disbanded after the election, marking the end of the movement. The best answer in 1890 was critical moment because what did it do? Is that the populists aligned with the Democrats. Populism Assessment Standard 1. Which of the following was the primary goal of the Populist Party in the 19th century? To increase government intervention in the economy, to promote industrialization, to expand the rights of African American and women in political sphere, to support free coinage of silver and advocate for the interests of farmers and laborers, to promote general American imperialism, once again. And these aren't hard questions. They're not hard questions because you've done what you're supposed to do and got a very good understanding of what the facts are. All right, here we have a cartoon. What message is the cartoonist most likely trying to convey about farmers in the late 19th century? It's the standard 1.1, objective 2. Farm closures you see over there, it says high tariffs, railroad rates, bank loans, all the things, of course, that the farmer, of course, is wrapped up in. And you notice now big businessmen over there, they're not bothered at all. They just looking at the farmer and they're kind of puzzled. A, farmers were benefiting from low rates and railroad rates and tariffs. Farmers were trapped by economic forces they could not control. Wealthy business supported the farmer struggles. The federal government reduced tariffs to help farmers. Well, doesn't look like the best answer probably is B, because he seems like they're trapped with economic forces that he has no control over. All right, we have another cartoon. It says Populist Assessment Standard 1. What does this cartoon suggest about the goals of the Populist Party in the 1890s? Standard 1, objective 2, to encourage cooperation between farmers and industrial workers, to promote the expansion of monopolies in agriculture, to support trust in large corporations, to discourage farmers from working with labor unions. All right, it says unite against oppression, trust in monopolies, farmer and labor. So, in basically what it's basically doing is saying that the farmer and the industrial worker should cooperate with one another. All right. Which of the following groups or regions most strongly supported the populist movement during the 1890s? Wealthy industrialists in the Northeast. Well, wealthy industrialists aren't farmers. Farmers and agriculture workers, particularly in the South and the West. Urban factory workers in large cities like New York and Chicago. Business owners. Come on now. Farmers. All right. What we try to do, of course, is give you some ideas about some of the types of questions that you can see. And some of them have to do, of course, with interpreting cartoons. Some of them have to do, of course, with reading various elements, and even taking and being an interactive question where you have to go through and put things in categories. So when you're looking at this particular assessment, please understand that it doesn't have to necessarily be just a traditional multiple choice question. It could be an enhanced multiple choice question that asks you to do something a little bit different. Once again, though, if you will master the fact list that we've included, if you will go through and look at the highlights that we put for populism, you'll be in good shape. This is Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online U.S. History from 1877 to present. And I'm reminding you once again how important that U.S. history test is. And if you do your due diligence, study, learn the facts, read with an examining eye, you'll be fine. We'll see you next time.